Hey guys, I am getting ready to sculpt a new pair of C3PO hands for myself, made to fit me, custom. So I am going to be casting my hands with Algi-Safe. It's a new Alginate, liquid Alginate, made by Smoth-On. Blends real easy with water. I made a cast of my left hand last night, and the actual casting itself came out good, but my hand pose is a little wrong because the Alginate took a little longer than I was expecting to kick off, so my hand relaxed a little too much and it's not quite the right pose. I may cut the fingers here and just repose them and run with it as is. But so this is the stuff. It's called Algi-Safe Breeze, and basically you mix 5 parts water and 1 part Algi-Safe to make your Alginate. You can vary it a little bit depending. And the reason I think this one maybe took so long to cure was because my temperature may have been too cool in the water. But I'm going to try it again today. This will be the second model, and I will take a video of the whole thing so you can see how it's done. So, taking this outside. See you in a minute. Alright, so I'm back outside here, and filling these containers with water. And the Algi-Safe container is 16 ounces. So, yeah, let's get over here. I have some distilled water. You don't need distilled. Tap water will work just fine. My dog thinks I'm talking to somebody outside, so he's freaking out. So I'm just going to put these at right around 16 ounces. I'm going to go a little bit over, just so I have a little bit of extra coverage for my hand, because yesterday was just a tiny bit shallow. It was enough, but I like to have a little extra to work with. So go there. Extra ounce or two shouldn't be a big deal. So there's our 5 buckets of this stuff. Get the water out of the way. More water. And I have a clear jug, clear containers for like breakfast cereals or something, and it's you know, big enough size that my hand fits in the position that I want. But it's not too deep, so I don't have to use too much excess material. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and pour the water in first. It seems to blend a little easier that way. Now, don't be surprised if my neighbors don't show up and start talking to me in the middle of this. So I have these, and then Algi-Safe goes in. Now this stuff, I've been shaking it already, but definitely once you stir it, shake it before you use it. It's got a little paper kind of topper in here. Peel that off. Scraping the excess. Now I'm just going to pour this right in the water, and I'm going to mix it by hand as I go here. I'm just start to blend it. And excuse me. Before I came out here, I put a little bit of hand lotion on my hand just to help it release a little easier, maybe. Didn't seem like it needed it last night. Came off my hands pretty easily, so relatively easy to clean up. So I can already feel it thickening up a little bit, and you can see I have a chair behind me. So what I'm going to do is, once this is closer to the consistency, I'm going to sit in that chair, because yesterday I had a really uncomfortable position when I was working on with this stuff, and it made it a little more difficult to keep my hand in the right position. But this stuff's sticking up much faster than yesterday's batch, so that's good. Hopefully I won't have to sit here forever. Yeah, it's getting thick very quickly. This is good. I'm going to go ahead and sit down in the chair here, so once it starts to get in the form, I'll be in good position for the casting. I guess I'll just get comfortable. This thing will probably run forever while this stuff cures, sets up. this is already, feels like it's going to work better than yesterday's. So I'm trying to keep my hand in the proper position so that I can mold it. Like I said, yesterday's version, my fingers were too bent. Okay, I'm back, and this stuff is just about ready to go. And it did go much, much faster today than yesterday's version. Took a long time, like more than 30 minutes. And this was probably about 8 or 10 minutes. And it's feeling pretty solid now. So I think I can take my hand out and see if I can move this. Probably not. Let me see if I can get a better angle. Basically, my hand is stuck in there, and there's a little bit of a lip where the Alginate's kind of going up onto my wrist. I just break that seal just a little tiny bit so some air can get in, because basically it's just like a big suction cup holding my hand in place right now. So if I can start to wiggle my hand around a little bit, get some of this extra off. Then, as I wiggle my hand around, get the air inside and slowly work my hand free. And feel the air going down in there. Making some interesting noises. And my fingers are getting the air now. And there it goes. Real slowly so don't tear it. There we go. So now my hand is out. There's a perfect little cavity there where my hand goes. So what we're going to do next is mix up some Ultra Cal 30 and pour it in there and get ourselves a nice solid casting. So I'll get this back in a second with the plaster setup. And this is white hydrocal. It's basically much stronger plaster than the plaster of Paris. It's white, mixes similarly, if you've used that before. To do my hand, I'm using this bucket. It's about 20 ounces, should be more than enough. I'm going to just let the powder settle in the bucket, and you keep putting it in until it really can't absorb anymore, so you start to see it just not disappear into the water. And I've seen a few people do this, and they all have a little slightly different techniques. And I try to hit it somewhere in the middle. Some people get it just the point where it stops dissolving. Some other people go past the point to where it kind of looks like caked mud on the top. And I tend to try to find the middle ground in there, where it's not quite as dry as the other people, but maybe a little more dry than some of the... I don't want it to all vanish. I like when there's a little bit on the top. Now, as a note, when you wash this stuff off your hands, never do it in your sink, because you will never get it out. You have to replace some plumbing, basically. And this plaster doesn't activate until you stir it. So I can put it in this water and leave it here for a little while, and it actually makes it finer and less lumpy if I let it sit in the water for a little bit. So after I do this, I'm going to give it about, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, and before I come back and actually stir it up, just let the water absorb into it. But it won't activate until I start to stir it. So once I get this all in here, maybe like another handful or two, it's getting pretty close now. It's getting to the point where when I put it on the surface of the water, it doesn't soak in. I wish I had another camera here to get a better angle on this. Maybe I'll move this in a moment. It's right at the point where it's just not quite absorbing any more of it. A tiny bit more. So yeah, we're right at the surface here. Let me check this out. Look at the wrong camera. But anyway, there's kind of like a little mountain on the top, and it'll slowly, see it sucking the water up. That's right about the amount you want to use. You don't really need much more than that. And so we're gonna let this sit for about, I don't know, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and then I'll come back out here and stir it up. Use the hose to wash this stuff off. Avoid any plumbing disaster. It's been 5 minutes, and I'm going to stir the plaster, and I'm just going to use my hand and stir it up. Feel around, make sure there's no lumps or any kind of clumps of anything. And the stuff is usually very, very smooth, and especially if you let it sit for a little bit like that. It doesn't clump up and get weird bumps. It's very, very smooth. It feels like kind of maybe like a condensed milk consistency. Go around the edges, make sure there's nothing sticking. All kinds of fun. So, alright. So I'll grab my Alginate mold over here, which I put aside. And basically I'm just going to pour it in, right down in the mold. And I'm going to give it a little extra on the top. This has got kind of a base it can stand on. And I may end up cutting that off later, but for now it's good. And so you can see at 20 I still have quite a bit left in the bucket. So I will go put this on a level surface, and probably about 90 minutes I'll demold it and check it out. So here it is. It's pretty much set up. Might have a little bit of drying to go. Neighbors leaving. Here's the car going. So basically I just kind of tap a little bit around the edges here to make sure that the plaster separates from the plastic. It doesn't seem to really stick to it very much. And start tapping it open and try to work some air up inside just so that it'll release the suction, which will be quite a bit. I don't know if you can see this, but there's an air bubble. And as you jiggle it around, the air will make its way up there and it'll slowly start to come out. Almost there. Burp it one more time. There we go. There you go. Almost there. There it goes. Okay. So here's our Alginate. And I would assume that with some hand positions you may actually be able to get a second casting out of this, but the way my hand is, I doubt that's going to happen. So just stick my fingers in there and I'm going to peel it away on the outside. Kind of careful, but it should be pretty strong enough. There we go. Yeah, my pinky's a little bit spread out, but overall, much better. So there's my cast of my hand. Should be a decent shape. Like I said, my pinky's a little more spread out than I'd like, but I don't think that's going to matter too much. Maybe I may trim this finger down here and bend it over just a tiny bit so I have like a more even spread. But this one came out better than yesterday's. So it's pretty nice. You can see it picks up all the detail here. And you can see every little wrinkle, crevice, and vein and everything in the back of my hand is all there. So it's pretty neat. And once I get to sculpting the glove, I will post up the progress. You can see how I do it. Just a quick look again. This is the Alginate. You see it's strong enough, but if you can stick your finger in it and tear it. It kind of tears easily, but an interesting consistency. So anyway, something to see. All right, thanks again, guys. Bye.